Perfect. Hey, Anish, welcome to Let's Figure It Out. Thank you for taking the time today. We're super excited to have you here. I would like to start with how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling awesome. I've been traveling recently. I'm currently in Varkala. I'm trying to build the business remotely, trying to embody my own philosophy. So it's been a
Yes.
great day. Spent some time at the beach, had a nice meal with the early sunset, and now I'm all set for this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you because we both are in different continents. So thanks for coordinating this time.
No, thank you for reaching out to me, and I really wanted to sort of put the vision out there as well. So yeah, thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Would like to learn a bit about yourself during this conversation. So let's rewind a bit and tell us about your early background. Like, where did you grow up and how did your journey into tech and product begin?
All right. So I basically grew up in a Marwadi business family based in Surat, Gujarat. In both cultures, entrepreneurship isn't a career. It's like the default setting, basically, right?
Yes.
You breathe margins before you breathe ambition. Business conversations. I mean, conversations over chai are business. There's
Yes.
no small talk, basically, right? There's why thinking baked into childhood, right? So I mean, all of that, the instinct sort of developed there, but then there was another layer that I only understood later, right? I also in early childhood understood that I was built slightly differently because people would flinch at reptile shows and blood movies and crime stories, right? Also, but I won't. I would really get curious about it, right? Religion had a similar story where everyone would just take it as default, saying that, you know what, this is how life is and this is how it's supposed to live. But I just never resonated, right? So for me, looking back, that was like the first signal that I wasn't wired to absorb beliefs, right? I was wired to debug them, right? My early career, I did my mechanical engineering and then I started my early career at Tata Motors. For my parents' generation and our parents' generation, that was the dream, right? Stability, respect. People would just join there from college and spend their entire lives there because there just isn't anything better, right? That's how it was supposed to be, right? But then for me, it was like running at 0.5x speed. Like it was safe, but it felt suffocating, right? So there was some discomfort. I fortunately got through cleared cat, joined IMK, and then joined the other extreme, which was Ola. Right? While Tata was basically like stillness without a challenge, Ola was like chaos without breaks, right? So it was literally like the other extreme. Hyper speed execution, relentless ambition, and building from the scratch, scrapping overnight, pivoting without any depth, right? So I learned speed there, but I also learned the cost of speed, right? In terms of building a business and in terms of your personal life, right? Then Make My Trip happened, where I basically saw stability with long-term thinking, basically, right? One of the biggest inspiration points for me was when COVID hit. Deep Kalra came onto a town hall and said, "Hey, you know what? We're not firing anyone. We've been doing execution since such a long time. Now we have the time to build. So let's build. This is an opportunity, not a crisis." For me, mind blowing, right? I mean, holding steady and just seeing opportunity in a crisis for a travel tech company whose business had gone to zero, right, was just amazing to see. That single moment taught me long term consciousness in business, basically, right? From there, while stability was good, I wanted to now do something exciting, and I tried my hand at climate tech. So climate tech, well, there was huge purpose, intent, real market, real need, but we realized that people do care, but they don't care enough to change, right? We were trying to build a B2C product to help people live a more sustainable life. So I moved on to the whatever next I could find, and that was Sugarbox. Sugarbox as a company had a immense amounts of funding, but absolutely no direction, right? No clarity, fuel, but no destination, essentially. After a point, I just couldn't bring myself to go to work. basically. So I just took a break. I traveled. I built a lot of perspective, and I think one of the biggest perspectives that I built while meeting people from all across the globe is that there can be success without burnout. I mean, there is more than life beyond optimization, right? But the so I realized so, but then I still didn't have clarity. So I knew how to build right through elimination, right? But no understanding what not to do, but I still didn't know what to build. So I temporarily joined a travel tech startup. I then realized, you know what, this is just not aligned. It's I might just not feel like going to office one another day, and discipline just does not cut it, right? I can be disciplined. That does not seem to be what will solve my internal chaos, basically, right? So I just left without having any idea about what next, how will I get there, and just try to figure my try to debug my inner world, right? And I guess the answers lay inside, and that's where Monk Labs was born. Right? So we essentially, I realized we don't need more hacks. There is enough and more information, shortcuts. Everyone is selling it, right? We really need what I call consciousness infrastructure, right? We need to help people upgrade their mind like upgrading software, right? And you do that by debugging ego, fear, and inherited beliefs. It's absolutely possible to build discipline with clarity, freedom with grounding, and power without distortion. Now, all of these things generally seem like they belong to different worlds, but it's possible. And so it really, while the name is Lazy Monk, it really isn't about laziness. It's to signal effortlessness, basically, right? You don't need to, as we are sort of told, you might that you need to go to harsh Himalayas and sit in meditation for hours, right? That does not need to be the way to upgrade your mental operating system, right? It can be done, and AI is a very powerful technology there. We usually see AI as something that automates trivial tasks, right? That's usually the perspective that's taken. But it's I call it a cerebral amplifier. Whatever's there inside you, it amplifies it, and that's why it can act like a very powerful mirror. And when a mirror is used right and you can look at it, it creates very fast feedback loops, and that helps you in the process of upgrading. It's not, and like I said, we are not selling hacks. We are trying to build a system that helps you upgrade, and there is a high chance that you upgrade because it's a system. You don't need to hustle, you don't need to struggle. Just follow that system, and we hope we can help a lot of people get there. So our vision is to enable awareness at scale.
Right. Okay. So few things which I can sort of like go back from the story is like, first it starts from your behavior of like curiousness. So like you're always curious about things, like breaking things in a way that why like this. And then I think your whole experience taught you how to be resilient, like starting from your first working with Ola, building something amazing for India. Make My Trip taught you something, be calm and patient, probably. And then from there, you're finding your own thing, which, hey, I am enjoying building, but I want to build something for my own thing. And how can I connect those pieces together? So, like, how human brains works or think, how we feel things. Like the biggest fear for everyone's mind is that one wall, that am I able to do this? Should I do this? And that actually hold back a lot of people from doing new things or doing something which they should be doing it. So actually you're trying to solve a problem to open that door. And by understanding your own self, like everyone needs to learn and understand their own mind, their beliefs, their mindset, because sometimes you're on an autopilot. You don't know what you don't know. Yeah, that's really fascinating. So one thing which I'm curious is like, I know you're solving one of the biggest sort of like, I would say, the next decade's problem, which is going to be huge because everyone's thinking in the same direction. Like, how can we make this strong, or like how can we make the best use of this brain? What actually sparked this idea? Because you mentioned like you were working with startups, you took a break. Was this idea sparked during that break?
To answer your question, the progression was learning speed first, structure second, and stillness third, right? We, all of us, tend to really undervalue slowing down. When you really slow down is when you start listening to your own subconscious, listening to your own body, listening to your own thoughts, right? Subconscious is basically intuition, thoughts is your mind, your body is whatever your mind and emotions, and the settled. All of these, to really know what aligns with you truly, you need to find stillness, right? And that is why I feel a lot of founders get their breakthroughs when they take a break, right? Because that allows them to slow down, that allows them to find stillness, right? Otherwise we're busy building in the outer world, right? Either in our relationships or at work, and it's not possible for the mind to slow down when you don't let it, basically. um, so that is what I found, and that's essentially what meditation is actually about, right? Apart from, it's about slowing down, right? But consciously, you just have 5 minutes to do it. I hope that that answers, right?
Yeah, we've heard about Steve Jobs, we have heard about other founders, like a lot of founders, but I can now resonate with what you just explained is like you need to get out of that thing to find sort of like yourself, and that's where you can start dialing into what you're going to build next.
All of us are running on a code, right? I call it the legacy operating system, right?
Yeah.
You can't see that operating system unless you slow down, basically, right? That's the starting point of uh, awareness for me, right? And awareness is how you figure out which problem aligns and resonates with you the most, right? And that's the only way to build a company, a really impactful business, in my from my point of view, right? In our previous generation, people built businesses out of survival, right? But then those businesses were enabling survival, not impact, right? To build a business that's truly a game changer, it has to come from something deep within you.
Yeah.
So, from and consciousness as a problem is the root cause of all the major world problems at this point, which is climate change, right? Just about people just need to, if they slow down and learn their relationship with the environment, they'll stop consuming and start being conscious. Be it wars, be it poverty, right? The rich don't need the money that they have, right? They are never, but everyone still, a lot of people have already said, put this out there that, while money does bring happiness up to a point, beyond the point, it does not really help. Then what's the point of not sharing your wealth, right? So a conscious rich person would do it. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, makes sense. So let's do a demo. So, because from a demo, we can tell the audience and the listeners to learn more about what Lazy Monk's Lab is.
Perfect, right? So essentially, the system of upgrade works broadly in three phases, right? The first is where you slow down, right? And those that place called, which I call the foundational operating system, right? From a place of stability and peace is where you can start debugging. The first tool that we've launched essentially is a mirror that helps people debug themselves, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a, a report for you that debugs you, right?
Okay.
And you can let me know if that made sense to you, right? Okay. We can talk about how I built this, what's the basis of it,
Yes.
yes, post that.
Sure.
Absolutely. But then what matters is, in the last few days, I've received mind blowing feedback from people as to how is this seeing me the way it is seeing me, basically, right? How is this happening? And yeah, so and I hope that resonates with you as well. Just give me a moment.
Sure.
I'm great. So we've generated around 100 reports in a week, and I've not really optimized. It's just a GPT running on my system at this point, so it's loading slow.
What does it take to generate this report? So if we can walk through the listeners.
What the report does is tells you what your innate design is, what are the natural gifts you're born with, and what are the challenges. I call it challenges. I call it shadows. Basically, I don't like to use the word weaknesses. It tells you how your nervous system is coded. It tells you what your masked self is versus your true self, right?
Okay.
It tells you what your core fears are and how you can break what your is the step that will be your biggest breakthrough. It tells you your dharma blueprint, ideal career themes, relationship blueprint, generational code. It also tells you what are the bugs you inherited from your parents. Then it moves on to talking about your current life chapter, right? And then an evolution in it. So I think the report is generated. I'm just gonna share my
Sure.
screen.
And while you explain that, what information it takes from me?
So you can just see it here, right? I
Perfect.
I just gave it your inputs, which is your
Okay.
basic details like your name, date, date of birth, time, place, fathers and mothers details, right? The first report is called like the deep legacy report, right? So you're born to master precision, discipline, and inner power, and channel it into meaningful creation, right? Do you want me to read it while you absorb it, or do you want to read it and tell me if the sections are resonating? How do we go about this?
I think what I want to learn is because a lot of people will be also listening rather than viewing this. So if you can just tell me the reasoning behind this, because that can also help. And then we can dive into the report later.
So the first part, right, which is your innate genius, right? It helps you accurately identify your gifts. Everyone comes in with certain gifts, and your early life also programs you with certain gifts, right? So the first part of the report helps you understand that. Okay.
Makes sense. Okay.
This is the second part, which is the shadow expressions. Essentially, the shadow expressions come up when someone feels overwhelmed or fearful, right? So, for example, for you, overthinking leads to delayed execution. You want like the perfect strategy before movement. Now, some of these shadow executions, people who are aware have overcome, maybe partly, maybe fully, right? But they might know that these exist, basically, right? And some people don't know, but when they read this report, they're like, oh, this makes sense. This is what I do,
I
right?
think that one line which says you don't fear failure, I think I can resonate very easily.
This is what the emotional and nervous code system code is, right? Which is you need.
Very true. The first two things are very true. This is absolutely spot on.
It talks about basically the this part talks about some needs and some triggers, right? Triggers are things that create uncomfortable feelings
Yeah.
or stress. So as we move forward, there is a mask that we all wear, and there is a true self.
This is so let me ask you this. What is the engine behind how it's pulling my information? Because let's say if I ask other LLMs, how would that be different from this answer?
If you know what to ask, generally people don't know what to ask, right?
Prompt.
They treat astrology as predictive, right? And they go and try to ask, hey, you know what, when will I get my job, when will I get married, when will my ex come back, right? So on, right? Astrology has two purposes. One is to understand your design, the legacy code that you came in with, right? The other is to understand the current cosmic weather. What is the transition that I'm going through? Essentially, the next evolution for me as a human being in this life.
Mhm.
Now, it's not predictive in the sense that cosmic weather can tell you that it's going to rain, right? But it's still your choice whether you want to dance in the rain or take shelter, right? It might tell you that you're designed in a certain way, but the moment you get aware about your design, the moment you see the code, you can reprogram it. But without seeing the code, how can you reprogram it, right? It's like any developer would do. If a developer can't see the code, how can he debug it? How
Right.
can he reprogram the product, the system, the software? How it's doing this is that it's based on Vedic astrology at the
Okay.
very core of it, but it does not talk about dashas or planetary positions or stuff like that, right? On top of that, it takes in a lot of concepts from psychology. It takes concepts from systems thinking. These are the two layers that I've added on top of it. The most simple lens I took to this was, when I took a break and tried to engineer myself, what all did I try to learn about myself? And which were the insights that were most impactful, and I try to code them into a report.
Got it. And what happens next?
This is like the first level report, right, where
Okay.
it coddles you a little, right, and then exposes some truths, right.
Yes.
It gives you some dharma blueprint and long-term thinking, some ideas about what kind of professions you might be fit for, etc. Right. Towards the end of the report, it tells you about a current life chapter, and I would love for you to go through this one before I get next. Right.
Sure.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yes, it is. It is making sense
All
for
right.
sure.
For
Perfect.
sure.
Cool. So, and then it gives you an evolution mandate, what all you need to do in very simple lines, right? Express your needs, trust timing. You don't need, and it also summarizes it in one line. You don't need to become loud. You need to become open, consistent, and claim your authority, right? There's some identity code. Then it asks you, what do you want next, right?
Hmm.
Now that you have some insights about yourself, right, do you want a 30-day integration protocol, which helps you understand what to do in the next 30 days to evolve in the way this report is suggesting, if you resonate, right? Then there's a 90-day plan that comes depending on how long or short a horizon you need. There's a deep mirror, and so the deep mirror is for people who are like, hey, you know what, it's saying too nice, it's being too nice to me, right? I think the report is just, and a lot of people give me this reaction to astrology, right? Hey, you know what, it tells you things that are nice, and that's why I'm liking it, right? So there's a deep mirror which is not nice, which says things as bluntly as they should be said,
Right.
but if only if you're ready to hear it. Because what some at this reading the deep mirror, if they're not on stable ground, it can be disturbing, basically, right? So that is what the purpose of this one is. It's just being generated. The net is slow, otherwise it just takes like 5 seconds to.
That's fine. But I think I was just trying to understand that what happens next. So it gives you that direction to what you want to do, 30, 90, and how deep you want to go.
So you can either go deeper or you can start working on whatever you've decoded or debugged about yourself, right?
Got it.
So this layer of the product is essentially just providing information, right?
Hmm.
The other products, the next product in pipeline is Copilot, right? Or simply put, it's a journaling AI bot, but that's too simplistic a way to say it, right? Now that the Copilot understands your design, imagine a therapist who you've probably worked with for 2 years, right? And they understand you deeply at this moment, right? They just know, and they're a good therapist. So they just know what nudge you need at that point. And the intent of that therapist is not to keep you coming back to them. It's for that therapist to, so the intent of the therapist is that you evolve to a point where you never need to come back to them. You actually recode yourself, right?
Yeah.
The information that's presented here, if it is actually available with a coach or a therapist, it can be a game changer, even for them, right? Because to reach this kind of understanding about their client takes a few months at least.
So it's kind of like an assistant to the therapist as well.
Yeah, it can grow into that as well.
So who is your ideal audience? Is it like individuals or more like what you just explained, therapist or other professions?
The one thing that I've learned while building is that it's just important to know the next step and do it, right? So I don't know, I have a few ideas about what all directions it can go into, but for me, The next audience for this product is people,
People.
right? People. Um, but I am also talking to therapists and trying to understand if this can make their process
Simplify.
simplify it, more impactful, right? Correct. Either the individual can take it to their therapist, right? Or if the therapists want to use it and they can be upfront with their client about it, right? A lot of people might not be, right? That's another sort of way to take this, right? But the B2B extensions for corporates, therapists are extensions, right? They are ways to solve the same problem. A lot of individuals, even when they are given tools, are not ready to use the tools themselves. For example, if you give a sculptor uh, tools to sculpt, right? They need to know how to sculpt. For some people, it might be working through a therapist or a coach. That's why I started the company with me playing two roles. I am currently acting as a coach with uh, my initial set of clients, right?
Hmm.
Because I'm trying to understand what part of the problem are the tools solving and what is the human element that's still required on top of that, right? And that human element can either be delivered as courses. So essentially, the tools for sculpt, the tools are available, but the skill to sculpt, right? It is either there with the coach or you can learn it through courses, right?
Got it.
Got it. So consciousness engineering as a field becomes a book, a course as well. You need to know the fundamentals of how to code before you start debugging and coding. That's
Makes
how
sense.
makes sense. A computer system works. So we can't be a product only organization. We need to be an ecosystem player, right? Because, like I said, we can make the tools, but some people have the skill to sculpt themselves. Some people just don't, right?
They need
That's
directions.
directions. Yeah. They either need someone who has the skills or they need to learn the skills themselves. So I'm also launching a book in February called Consciousness Engineering.
Wow.
Wow. Just, yeah,
That's cool.
that's cool.
Well, Anish, this is amazing to learn about Lazy Monk's Lab. Also, like one of the most different titled company, because when you think about lazy monks, you don't think it's more on consciousness, but it makes you curious. So great name. Now, one last thing, how can our listeners or anyone, if they wants to try this product, where
It's not hosted. I'm going to launch a website where we are hosting these tools, right? Okay. So right now you can just link my Instagram maybe, right? And they can just
sure.
drop me the details like the name, date of birth, etc. And I will respond with the report. Perfect. And eventually, as we host it, I can share that information with you and you can link it in the video.
Absolutely. I'll also share your LinkedIn so that they can reach out to you, connect with you. But thank you so much for taking the time. Really love this conversation and was very happy to learn about what you are trying to do and for the whole world here with the consciousness engineering. To everyone who is listening or viewing, keep exploring, keep building like what Anish is doing, and let's figure it out more in this world.
I just want to add one final thing to
Sure.
anyone who wants to build, right? The answers don't come up on day one. Uh,
Yes.
Building is an iterative process. That's the most fundamental part about building. So just start in that direction. The second thing I want to say is a lot of people are living, a lot of us are living in survival mode, even though we have enough resources to not run on survival mode, right? We're just coded that way. That's why we feel like, hey, I need to save X amount of money for my kids, my wife, my life to do what I want to do. Just really try to think if you can live on your savings for the next 2 years, and if you can, you're not in survival mode, basically, right? You can actually live out of a place of courage and just dive into it rather than waiting for the right moment.
That is so true. Just do it.
Just do it. It's easy to say sometimes, and honestly, for me, I just want to call out. It happened when nothing else was working, so it came out of elimination, right? But I hope it does not come out of elimination for it.
Yeah. No, we definitely wish you the best for this amazing product you are developing, and would love to know more. And all the best for the book you're launching in February as well. Thank you so much, Anish, for the time. We'll definitely chat back soon. Thank you.